In November of 2001, a launch title for the original Xbox named Halo Combat Evolved forever changed the controls and impact of the home console first-person shooter. 9 years later, developer Bungie had grown the series into one of the most successful and recognizable franchises in the entire industry, becoming a household name nearly rivaling Mario. 2010 saw Bungie's final game in the series that they will create, crafting an origin story to Combat Evolved, appropriately ending the developer's saga where it began. The final product is by all means not perfect, but expands on attributes of the series in enough ways to be more than just satisfying. Halo Reach takes place on the UNSC fortress world of Reach during the weeks prior to Halo Combat Evolved. Noble Team, a squad of Spartan super soldiers, is ordered by Colonel Urban Holland to investigate the sudden loss of transmission from a communications outpost. The team is baffled to later discover it's the work of the Covenant, and an invasion becomes apparent. As the Covenant begin their assault on the planet, the UNSC begin their heroic, yet hopeless, attempt to halt the brutal alien invaders. Players assume the role of a new addition to the team identified by the call sign Noble 6. These narrative aspects of Halo Reach are competent in regards to the overall plot, but it isn't as appealing as Master Chief's story per se. I felt a little more disconnected with the characters of the Noble Team than I have with others in the Halo universe in the past. Seeing a major character die meant little or nothing to me when the time came. That said, the actual story is as explosive and entertaining as ever, with the addition of a somewhat darker tone to it. It makes up for a satisfying narrative, but the characters make it not the best in the series. Halo Reach features a variety of new gameplay additions to the franchise's core experience. For instance, there is a new assassination system implemented in which holding down the melee button will trigger a context-sensitive third-person animation. Fear not, as simply hitting the melee button still allows for the use of an old instant kill, but I feel the new animation is entertaining enough to merit its use. Reach also utilizes an armor ability equipment system, as pieces of equipment can now be selected upon respawning, or picked off the ground for certain game types and in the campaign. These armor abilities are reusable within a recharge time between uses, and include functions such as sprint and jetpacks, among other methods. Armor abilities are a great feature, whether it be in the campaign or matchmaking, and adds an extra layer of strategy to the gameplay, specifically on the campaign on Legendary. Though, let's be clear here, when you're given the choice to have a jetpack, would you settle for anything less? Controls in Halo Reach are perhaps the best they've ever been. The 360's bumpers have been altered to house the armor abilities and melee functions, preserving the face buttons for the use of swapping weapons, swapping grenades, and reloading. This morphed take on the default controls is ideal to the flow of battle's fast-paced action. Aside from the main campaign, Halo Reach also exhibits a multitude of different game modes. Returning fan favorites such as Slayer, Capture the Flag, and King of the Hill are present, but alongside these are new modes such as Headhunter, Stockpile, and a personal favorite of mine, Invasion. Not to mention the inclusion of Race returns, marking its first instance created since Combat Evolved. Another returning mode taken from ODST is Firefight, where players fight waves of enemies. There are a total of 17 multiplayer maps available in Halo Reach, with 9 standard multiplayer maps and 8 Firefight maps. However, despite the excellent use of matchmaking, the greatest aspect found in all of Halo Reach is the Forge world. It's essentially a wide-open sandbox for endless creativity, and you'll easily find yourself lost in making your own creations or downloading others. A personal favorite of mine is the insane map Avalanche. Graphically, Halo Reach is sufficient, but it is already beginning to show its age in some portions. Granted, the environments are far more detailed, and the graphical effects have been drastically improved from that of Halo 3, and it allows for a more dynamic lighting system for dramatic shadows and moving light sources within its interiors. However, some areas and maps clearly exhibit more vacancy than others, case in point the mission titled Exodus. Music in the game is, as par for the course, excellent. Just like the previous entries in the franchise, its sweeping orchestral score will impress you to the end. I feel as if Halo Reach has been forgotten a little too quickly by its community. While highly regarded and widely played at release, the franchise's most loyal audience doesn't seem to hold Bungie's last effort as high as previous iterations. Even though the title is nearing 5 years old at this point, the package you'll be purchasing for is well worth whatever price you find it for. There may be a quality debate regarding some multiplayer maps that may be bare in comparison, and some weapons like the assault rifle seem oddly ineffective. However, the sum of its parts is truly a game worth playing, no matter how late to the action you are at this point.